And we're back. As a reminder, as usual, the music I use mostly comes from ocremix.org, so check that out. A lot of it's from their albums for Final Fantasy VI, Final Fantasy IV, and Final Fantasy VII. So, if you're interested in the music, check it out at ocremix.org. In the meantime, there's a huge door for an entrance and 4 other more plain-looking doors. Music comes in as soon as I click back onto the game, so... But as soon as I click back on the game, it also moves this text forward. I'm used to this now. Ow! I just stubbed my toe. I hate everything. Damn subwoofer! Okay. I'm okay. In the corner of the kitchen, there was also a staircase with a handrail leading somewhere downward. Even Dark Ambient is much better than that, much happier than that music. Yeah, Slam Shuffle is a bit of a... is interesting. I think it's a remix of the music from that Thief Town, I can't remember the name now. Even though I just finished LPing Final Fantasy VI. Whatever. After walking around the room on my wobbly legs, I tried to make a floor plan in my mind. You're much better at doing that than I am. Although with that said, the image is most likely far from perfect. And that woman that I saw before seems to have disappeared. Zozo. There we go. Zozo. Yes, but I believe that was a remix of the music from Zozo. My joints produce sharp bursts of pain whenever I move, but I don't feel like returning to the room I woke up in. I decided to investigate the doors, try leaving through the main entrance, or go down the stairs. Our joints are killing us? I think going down the stairs is going to end up with us falling and killing ourselves. The main entrance seems obvious, but I think we should investigate the doors. So let's do that. I decided to investigate the doors. They were placed near the 4 corners of the square space that made up the kitchen and living area. Feeling like a butt for stuff earlier, so I'm formally apologizing for explaining that I know it's someone with a background in similar stuff. Wait, what? Oh, yeah, you're talking about the DID stuff. God, that's silly. Like, I have a psych degree. I know what DID is. Don't worry, Zerbat. You weren't being a butt. I thought it was hilarious. It's just not very often I get to show off that I actually have degrees in things, because they're so useless in society right now. The first door in the upper left corner of the plan was the door I came out from before, so there's no need to investigate it. There were 3 doors remaining. First, I decided to take a look behind the door on the right of the main entrance. No one in here, but the white lamp hanging from the ceiling lights the room brightly. This room has no soul, so to say, but it feels as if there are definitely people living here. I quietly placed my right hand on the door frame and leaned in and looked inside. As I thought, the room was empty. Was it just my imagination? With that thought in mind, I left the room. Let's see now. What should I do next? Try leaving through the main entrance. I went to see if I could go out through the main entrance. The door didn't have a knob of any sort or handle attached to it. It must be an automatic door, but a very peculiar one, unlike anything I've ever seen before. It's made out of some sort of metal, but that's about all you can make of it. I wonder how thick it is. It needed to be so sturdy that a shell shot from a tank would be a little chance of taking it down. I stood in front of the door. Open said hi! What spread out in front of me when I opened it was the image of hell in black and white. In the whirling plumes of snow, countless snowflakes were madly racing past each other. Sorry, I'm moving my chair a bit so I don't have to lean forward so you actually hear me on the mic. As I thought, the sparkling particles of light I had seen through the window earlier were indeed crystals of snow. Other people, how rude! Sir Matt's used to being one of the only people. But I had no idea it was coming down this hard. All that was reflected in my eyes were the countless white particles and the darkness between them. It was almost already impossible to see anything more than a few meters away. The harsh freezing wind felt as if it could blow right through me. My cheeks and neck felt as if they were being cut by countless shards of ice. It became impossible to breathe. Give me a second. I have to do this because the heat in my house is awful. I can't open a window because you'll be hearing everything out there, including lawnmowers and shit. So I'm going to be turning on my fan. And I really, really hope you guys can't hear anything, so I'm going to be silent for a sec and wait to see if the fan is picked up by the mic. Okay, it looks like the mic is not picking up the fan, at least through the noise gate. When I'm talking, you might be able to hear it a tiny bit, because this mic, I believe the description I've heard of it is it could hear a fly fart from 20 meters away. So, when I'm talking, there might be some slight white noise. But hey, the game's covering the white noise kind of nicely by introducing its own. So I think we'll be okay. But we are getting to that time of year that I so hate. Summer. My house does not have air conditioning, my room is poorly ventilated, and anytime I try and open a window, noise everywhere. So I kind of have to keep a fan on in my room at all times. Anyway, let's continue on. Is that a fan or a plane? Crud. Are you hearing it, or is that from the game? Because you guys shouldn't be hearing the fan that strongly. Like, it's not even being picked up by the noise gate, so it shouldn't be that loud. But let me know if it's bugging you guys. I can turn it off. I'm just trying to get a feel for where I need to put the fan in my room again. Anyway, the chilly air was so intense that I could feel my lungs and trachea choking on it as it made its way through them. Oh, you're talking about the game. Okay. I felt that if I stayed here for even 3 seconds more, I would surely die. I'm pretty sure that wasn't even an exaggeration. Panic-stricken, I turned and started back toward the building. It was nice and warm inside. It's kind of warmth that a human could survive in. Ew. I breathed a sigh of relief. The thundering roar of the wind was so loud that I could be clearly heard even indoors. I didn't notice the sound of it until now. That's probably because my mind had been preoccupied with other things. Anyway, I doubt anyone could be outside in this kind of weather. Except for the truly curious or adventurous. There's just no way anyone would venture out in the middle of that snowstorm. Now that I caught my breath, I decided to explore the other parts of the facility. Maybe I should look downstairs next. I went down the staircase beside the kitchen. This is a bad idea. You're injured. Ethereal Girl. Apparently this place is being used as a storeroom. There are provisions, fuel, medical supplies, miscellaneous daily supplies, all sorts of equipment, and so on, evenly spaced and neatly placed on the shelves. There's a bare pipe stretched across the ceiling. There's a single window in the concrete walls. A basement, huh? If this was the basement, then it would mean the floor I was just on was the first floor. And again, the door leading outside should have made that obvious. I heard a sound like a groan coming from somewhere, a low mechanical tone that shook me to my core. I didn't know what the sound was. Ignoring it for now, I slid into the space between the shelves as if weaving myself into a crowd at rush hour. It was about as wide as the floor above. There weren't any places I could call interesting, and I don't think one could be hiding anything around here. Wait. I heard a faint sound. It sounded like a small animal running around. Perhaps a rat that had settled in here? When it comes to rats, I can handle them. I wouldn't say I can't handle rats. However, I had no interest in looking for one so I could capture it. Return to the first floor. But before I could finish climbing the stairs, I felt someone's presence. As I glanced up from the kitchen, I saw the figure of a girl sitting silently in the dining chair. The girl had her head bowed. I couldn't make out her face from here, but I was pretty certain it wasn't the brown-skinned woman I met earlier. I tried to loosen up. Excuse me. Calling out, I approached her. There's something I'd like to ask you. The girl showed no reaction. She merely sat there without moving a muscle, as if she had been carefully placed there by someone, like a figure at a wax museum. I'm sorry, are you listening? I stood right beside her and bent over to take a look at her face. I gasped sharply and jumped back. I dashed back to where the stairs were. Misstepping, my foot slipped. I gripped the handrail for a moment to regain my balance. My other hand was already covering my mouth. If not for that, I think I surely would have screamed. That's impossible. Why? Why was that girl in a place like this? She turned as delicately as a ballerina to face me. Yep, that's who I thought it was. There's no mistake. The girl in front of me was unmistakably her. That girl who had murdered 12 innocent people in a hospital in Aozumi City. Inabushi Keiko. There's no way I could possibly forget that face. As if to say hello, Inabushi slightly nodded her head. I awkwardly returned a nod. I have to say something. I knew exactly how I felt, but it seemed as if I had completely forgotten how to speak out loud. Such situations are often attributed to a lump in the throat, or the lips becoming too dry. But this was different. I had literally forgotten how to utter a word. In front of my eyes was a murderous monster, the serial killer who had single-handedly rewritten the definition of crime in Japan. I felt that if I were to let my guard down for even a moment, I could easily become the 13th victim. My heart was pounding hard, and my skin was tingling as if an electric current were running through it. The awkward silence continued, and Ibushi kept staring at me expressionlessly. Her face was devoid of any emotion. It was hard to tell if she was thinking anything at all. I tried to hide the panic behind a calm smile. I didn't think it was much good at it. Both my cheeks were stiff like plaster. Character introduced earlier, this never happens. No, but this kind of goes towards my theory of this being the Spheus facility. Then, the girl returned the smile. It was a very natural and sincere smile. I thought it was safe to let my guard down a bit. Of course, not so far as let her read me like a book. But after seeing such a gentle smile, there's really little I could do. Although my reasoning was trying hard to build up a strong, impenetrable wall, my instinctive curiosity took the best of me. I was climbing over the protective wall and taking a step toward the danger. Inabushi-san, you're Inabushi Keiko-san, right? My voice quivered and gave away my nervousness. The girl stayed silent, as if she didn't understand what I just said. Inabushi-san, right? I asked the same question again, but the girl just tilted her head. It couldn't be. A different person? Or one of the DID identities that don't answer to Inabushi? No, that's impossible. She looks exactly like the girl from the photo in the file. Ask indirectly, let's not try and provoke the potential serial killer. How should I say this? You were the one behind the incident in Uzumi? Right? Or am I wrong? She looked as if she was lost in thought and then shook her head gently. You're lying, right? I know all about it, okay? The truth is I did some research regarding the incident. As if trying to gauge her reaction, I slowly stuttered through that sentence. But Inabushi Keiko just kept looking at me with her mouth shut. She even looked the least bit flustered. She tilted her head as if in wonder, and gave me a quick glance, then averted her gaze. She threw me a second glance, and at that moment, as if having lost her temper, the girl stood up forcefully. She turned my way and started walking vigorously towards me. Flinching, my face twitched as I shrank away. In what seemed like a moment, she had my back up against the wall. Even then, the girl didn't stop moving. Breaking through my protective wall and ignoring all warning sensors, she entered my personal space. Really? Personal space is something we need to know in the tip section? Sure. The region surrounding each person, or the area which person considers their domain or territory. Often when someone enters the range of your personal space, you will begin to feel uneasy or uncomfortable. This is highly valuable and difficult to measure accurately. The best estimates of the personal and physical space are placed at around 60 centimeters to either side, 70 centimeters in front, and 40 centimeters behind the body for the average Westerner. Interesting that they specify Westerner, probably because it's a Western research that they got that from. But that sounds pretty accurate, but I don't know why they felt the need to define it. Strange. There was nothing more to be done. She was a distance that would make me any kind of resistance futile. What are you doing? Immediately after I squeezed out those words, the girl firmly gripped both of my shoulders. I tried to scream. I took a deep breath. Before I could let out a sound, the girl covered my lips with her palm. Okay, I'm glad I said palm there, because that's not where my mind went. My mind went to a bad place. I'm sorry. It's all over. I braced myself and squeezed my eyelids tightly shut. Nothing happened. Timidly, I opened my eyes. Now that I look carefully, her face looks like she's on the verge of breaking down in tears. Her moist pupils seem to be eagerly appealing for me to do something. Just what is that supposed to mean? I don't know what's going on, but at least I don't feel any danger or hostility. My stiff body slowly regained its power to move. At the same time, the girl removed her hand from my lips. What? What is it that you want to say? Well, give me a look, which was apparently asking me for something. The girl shook her eyes back and forth. What is it? Even when trying to ask for something, the girl spoke for no words. Again, all she does is shake her head. I won't be able to understand if you keep silent like this. Say something, anything. The girl pointed at her own throat. While doing so, her other hand is flapping and waving as if fanning the air. A gesture? That's it. This action probably means... You can't speak? Yes, yes, yes. The girl nods over and over again. Oh, thank God, I don't have to give her a voice. I am Mead! I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Interesting that she apparently is mute. In short, she isn't able to speak. However, that it wasn't all she wanted to tell me. After I deciphered her last thought, the girl had struck out the palm of her hand towards me. Wait here is what this probably meant. Okay, I get it, but where are you going? Without answering, the girl left my side. She's looking around the kitchen restlessly in search of something. Suddenly, looking as if she found something, she ran into one of the doors of the four corners of the room. The girl's figure disappeared behind the door. It was a room I had entered before. After a few moments, the girl jumped out of the doorway. Looking confused, she beckons me over. Did something happen? I rushed over to her. Ow, 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 ow. The pain I had forgotten about was most likely coming from my limping knee. Somehow rallying my strength, I managed to reach to the open door. The girl went inside as if calling for me to come with her. There was nobody inside the room besides us. Nothing had changed since I had last been here. After I had glanced around the room, Inabushi Keiko tilted her neck as if to point at something. She had a black felt-tip pen in her right hand and a size A6 memo pad in her left. Why are you telling me the size of the memo pad? And how do you know what the size of the memo pad is? Because that's something I've never heard of before. Like a size rating for memo pads. She had most likely found them somewhere in this room. She pushed the memo pad against the wall and started to write with the black felt-tip pen. Before she finished writing, I took a peek at the lines she had already scrawled on the page. I could make out the following. There are lots of things I want to tell you, but before that, look over there. Over there? With the tip of the pen, she pointed at the corner of the room. There's nothing that felt particularly special about that area. Stretching, she held the pen high. The tip of the pen pointed towards the bed on the other side of the room. Was she trying to say there's someone hiding over there? Feeling uneasy, I advanced towards the back of the room, following her directions. Went around the side of the bed facing the window and stopped. It was at that moment, something wriggling jumped in my field of vision. Instinctively, I turned my head towards it. Obstacles in youth. Uni! Are you okay? Uni, you were saved? Holy shit, remember 11? I know! I'm super excited to play this. Completely blind. I blurted it out spontaneously. How far? We are an hour and a half in, but since I'm, actually speaking all the parts, that probably doesn't mean much. We're start of chapter 1. We just ran into someone we think is that serial killer, but I have suspicions, and we literally just found Uni again. I took a closer look. There was no mistaking it. Sitting in front of me was Uni, the boy I'd been searching for so desperately. Wrapped up in a blanket, Uni sat crouched in the narrow space between the bed and the wall. Are you all right? Are you hurt? As I knelt down in front of him, I put my hands on his shoulders. What my palm felt was real. He's alive, right here and now. I gave thanks from the bottom of my heart for this blessing. I never played Ever 17. This is my first of the series. The only other game I played by these folks is 999, which is why I wanted to play this. Sorry, I had to take some drink of water. It is really hot. My heart was racing from the joy of our reunion. A feeling of excitement ran through my body, powered by the hot blood charging through my veins. I could no longer hold myself back. My body rushed toward him. I wanted to hold him tightly in my arms. But Who? That one word escaping from his lips stopped me dead in my tracks. Who are you? What do you mean, Uni? It's me, don't you remember? I was sitting right beside you when the plane crashed. My voice was high and shrill with confusion, something I'm not doing very well in mimicking. VLR I can't play on stream because it's only on 3DS, so I'm going to have to play that on my own time, but Zero Time Dilemma I will definitely play on stream when it comes out on PC. My voice was high and shrill with confusion. Uni's hollow, lifeless eyes were staring off somewhere. They appeared lost, not focused on anything in particular. Aren't you mistaking me for someone else? I have no idea who you are. How? But you are Kusura Uni-kun, right? My name, how did you... Because you see... I swallowed the words I was going to say, stopping in the middle of a sentence. Yeah, Sir Bat is a huge 999 fan. 999, Virtue's Last Reward, and Zero Time Dilemma are apparently really, really good. I've only played 999 so far, and I fell in love with it. It's a really cool, interesting combination of puzzles and mystery. Yeah, one of the writers is... that's the connection. One of the writers of this is also the writer of the Zero Escape series, which is 999 VLR and ZTD. If you can't afford 999 or you just want to see someone play through it, on my YouTube channel I have my full playthrough. And that includes everything the game has to offer, I'll just say that much. Also wrote Punchline the anime. I suddenly realized something. This situation, this conversation, they're all too similar to what had taken place a short while ago in the hospital-like room with that strange moody woman. I had no idea who she was, but it seemed like she knew something about me. And now, although I clearly remembered Uni, he didn't seem to have a clue to who I was. Although the roles have switched, the situation was basically the same. Now that I think about it, that woman's expression only changed when I mentioned the same Kusura Uni. And now the person right in front of me is also questioning why I knew his name. What the heck is going on? It's a bad idea for me to admit I knew Uni, I wonder. I looked at him again. His eyes were pointed somewhere behind me as if he were staring at something far away. Oh goody! Fan service. I'm not always a fan of fan service. I can be, sometimes. But I'm not always a fan. It kind of depends on, like, if it's super exploitive or not. Which it almost always is. Granted. His expression was void of all emotion, like that of a faded and dried up doll. In my head, I could still remember how he had played so innocently and cheerfully with the doll, a small plush bear. Did I download this game? No, I'm playing it through the power of my psychic abilities. Yes, I've downloaded this game. I felt as if I just lost something incredibly precious to me. I see. So you've forgotten. Well, maybe it's for the best. For the best? What had happened on the plane? I wish I could forget it as well. Just a moment. I don't quite understand what you're trying to say. I haven't forgotten anything. From the time I got on the plane, right up to the crash, everything. I remember everything. Okay. We're officially in has my character seen a mirror yet territory. Because what? It took a while for me to digest his words. In short, what that meant was, you remembered everything about the flight and the crash. Wow! That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money I don't have. However, he had no memory of me. Anyway, I believe there's been a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? I'm pretty sure I couldn't have gotten anything mixed up. I was very certain I knew Uni. May I ask a question? My thoughts were interrupted by his whispering. The other people. What happened to them? You were on the plane as well, weren't you? I was unable to speak. My confusion had left me at a loss for words as it was. Needless to say, his question didn't make things any easier for me. My memory stops at the point just before the crash. I had completely lost consciousness from the immense impact. When I came to, I found myself in a bed in a strange room. Contains retail PC versions, and that's it? Or... because for that much money, it better come with something extra, because damn, that's a lot of money. There's also Code 18 in the Infinity series, but we don't talk about Code 18. I guess we don't talk about Code 18. I see. It seemed to have made sense for something simply, seemed to have made sense of something simply listening to my silence. His lips trembled as he mumbled something. He went pale, his expression clouding over. From his pupils, large round teardrops started to form and shake haphazardly, sparkling in the light. It looked as if he hadn't lost any of his emotions after all. He had just tried to seal them up deep in his heart. I'm sorry, but if you figure something out, can you please tell me? You see, I've been looking for a certain person. A person named Kokoro. Her family name was Fuyakawa. I think it was Fuyakawa. I couldn't believe my ears. My body started trembling nervously. I tried to calm myself down at first, and then realized I had no control over it and simply gave in. So it wasn't just the dark-skinned woman who was acting strange. Even Uni didn't recognize me as Fuyakawa Kokoro. To have my whole existence simply denied like that was frightening, to say the least. I'm sorry, but if I was in someone else's body, which I suspect is the case here, I would immediately know. My body's kind of unique and fat and easy to recognize. I always feel my long hair in specific places. I can see my hair. My hands are pretty specific. I'm pretty sure when someone says I know it like the back of my hand, I can literally map out the back of my hand because it has very specific birthmarks. So I'm just saying, if I was ever in a situation where I was in someone else's body, it would become apparent super fast and you wouldn't get all this damn drama. Is something wrong? Uni asked in a delicate voice. I am... Until we confirm what's going on, I don't want to freak the poor boy out. So there was no way to for me to come up with a surefire comeback. What would it take for him to realize that I am Fuyakawa Kokoro? I couldn't quite make out Uni's expression at the moment. Well, it's nothing. It took all I had just to mutter that. Uni tilted his head curiously. His nonchalant gesture made my chest tighten and my heart feel another short, constricting burst of pain. Kurt Dog, keep in mind, my chat, other folks won't be able to see the link, but I will. So if you link it, I'll relink it so other folks in chat can see it. I do that as protection because I don't have mods. So if a bot comes in here and is like, I'm going to throw links everywhere, I don't want people to get caught by them. That's all. So just keep in mind, you can post the link. I'm obviously giving you permission, but I can't, but I'll have to be the one who reposts it. I couldn't endure any more of this. I couldn't stay here anymore. I turned my eyes away from Uni and spoke. Well then, I'll be off now, alright? I'm sorry for barging in here so suddenly. But I was happy to see you. Leaving him with those words, I stood up. You know, at this point, you could turn around and say, by the way, do you happen to have a mirror? Because we know he has a mirror. And then be like, I need to check something. As I did so, I saw something as good as a mirror in front of me. I could see it through the curtains. Darkness reigned outside. It was a beautifully polished glass, had nothing to show, reflections of objects. Wait a minute! The other window! We were talking about its reflective properties. Why didn't we notice then? Okay, whatever. Game, you get a pass on this. But you're causing false drama. Of course, the walls, the lighting, and the furniture were not the only things that could be seen there. My own appearance was faintly floating in it, painted hazily in the darkness. Eh? I thought that maybe I was hallucinating. I closed my eyes and opened them again. What I had first thought was an illusion didn't disappear from the soot glass surface. Cold sweat ran across my back. I wanted to scream, but something was stopping me. It felt as if something was stuck inside my throat. Panicking, I hastily tried to reaffirm what I was seeing. I was wearing clothes I didn't recognize at all, and it wasn't just the clothes that seemed alien to me. The 10 brutish fingers, the well-defined blood vessels crisscrossing the back of my hand, the rugged silhouette. I ran my fingers across my hair only to notice that the length and texture didn't feel like mine at all. Still not grasping the situation, I swallowed hard and turned to Uni, almost crying out. Hey, you had a mirror with you, right? A mirror? You should have one, shouldn't you? It should be in your pocket, right? How did you know? Never mind that, just hurry up and give it to me. Still confused, Uni took out the folding mirror. I quickly snatched it and stared at it intently. No way. Why? You're a dude! Also, somebody else entirely. This could be a problem. The site no longer exists. Ah, shit. To say I was astonished would be a gross understatement. Wait, brutish? Maybe? I think we're looking at a different guy here. Dude's practically a Bishi. Just saying. Reflected in the mirror was the face of an unfamiliar man. I guess I should be using a different voice. Whoops! This isn't me. It isn't me. It isn't me. It isn't me. It isn't me. The inside of my head is spinning, mixed, shaken, and blended by the confusion overwhelming me. I need to see my face. My movements, disfigured and distorted, are reflected almost perfectly on the face of the man in the mirror I was holding. I feel like I've seen this guy's face before. Yeah, it was the face of the guy who fell off that tower. See, here's the thing. DID is already a theme in this game. However, for DID to be the explanation for this situation, somehow the person would have to have been in two places at once and have different bodies. So, DID is not the explanation in this case. Or it's very, very, very unlikely. There are a couple of problems with it. So, of the known properties of this game thus far, which is to say, the known plot elements that could explain this situation, it doesn't. So there's obviously a plot element we haven't explored yet. She better check their junk. I don't think that's really a priority. Oh yeah, the VNDB screenshot page, that's actually what I saw. This isn't the scene. I saw a different scene, I believe. But it said pretty much, this isn't my body. So I kinda did have this plot element spoiled for me. But it was pretty obvious from the way the plot was going anyway. That's cool. See you, Electorn. DID with schizophrenia. That's still... Okay, one, you could have... That's actually kind of a complicated question. Could you have DID and schizophrenia? Yes, but how would it present itself? That's an interesting question. But no, how would that explain the different bodies? It wouldn't. Unless the person had a complete perceptual delusion, which... Actually, I'm trying to remember if DID presents that way in some people. I mean, obviously, you can have DID personalities that are completely different genders, completely different races, completely different from what you look like, from what you normally identify as such. I wonder if that comes with perceptual delusion. I actually don't know that. Anyway, what is this? How? Why did this happen? The eyes of the man in the mirror bulged like a lunatic's. He was looking straight into my eyes. I couldn't bear it anymore. I violently clapped the mirror shut and threw it against the wall with all the strength I had. Hey, that's someone else's mirror! I fell to my knees, letting out a low moan. My nerve endings had gone dull, senses numbing, all my thoughts thrown into the pit of chaos and assaulted my raging doubt and uncertainty. Who is that man? Am I that man? If that's me, then where did I used to be go? Oh, right. I think you did mention the body switchy thing, Sir Matt. It's possible. But like I said, that was one of the things that was spoiled for me just by looking up the game. So I'm not terribly concerned about that spoiler. That and multiple endings are the only things that are spoiled for me so far. So let's keep it that way. No, Nerian, I have a AA in psychology. I went to community college. No. The fact that I don't know if it comes with perceptual delusion is indicated by my lack of education in psychology, not indicative of my actual education in psychology. But thank you for the compliment. I didn't go to any badass psychology university or anything. Hell no. I have an AA in psychology, social science, and liberal arts with an emphasis in sociology. So basically, I just have a lot of AAs, and that's it. Who am I? My mind or my body? Which one is the real me? Now that's an interesting question, but that really depends on the person. You could argue either way, and you'd probably be technically right. I lean more towards mind. There are people who lean towards body. I lean way against body recently, especially because of a different gender identity issues the world has. Kurt Dog, that's absolutely fine. Of course, you got your life to lead. Have fun at work, hopefully, is what I suggest, and have a good time. I always try to. Thank you. Maybe the real psych degree was the friends he made along the way. I like that conclusion. It's a 1 a.m. It's 11:46 a.m. for me. Yeah, I get a lot of European viewers also. Wait, 2 p.m. That means you're East Coaster. Anyway, let's continue. I don't know. Something has gone horribly wrong. This world wasn't the world I knew anymore. Now that I think about it, ever since I woke up I'd been feeling strange, an uneasy sense of, for lack of a better word, incompatibility. Now I finally knew the reason why. It felt as if the world was starting to reject me, and slowly I began to disappear. Overwhelmed by loneliness and neglect, my own existence started to fade. Anxiety took over. Everything that I was replaced by a fear. Was replaced by a fear which made me want to scream out in desperation. Help! Somebody help me! I lost consciousness. O Sephiroth, our master. Okay, here's the thing. I know of Sephiroth, obviously, from Final Fantasy VII, but I also know he's a reference to something biblical, I think? I don't know what the actual reference is to Sephiroth. What it connects to. I know the symbol. I see the symbol so many times in so many places. I don't actually know what it means. I had a dream. Oh, and Nerian, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. To me, who had lost all sense of time, the dream felt like it lasted forever. Or was it just for a moment? There was no light. I couldn't see anything. Sephiroth. Yes, I know. My understanding is Sephiroth is the actual, reference, and Sephiroth was just a name they used. Or it could be, different translations? I don't know. Like I said, it's a reference I've never actually looked up and checked. Not Nerian, it's Nerian. Damn it! I'm bad at this! Nerian! I'm working on it! I promise! I'm bad at these. I could only hear a pleasant, steady pulse, like an unborn child floating in the amniotic fluid, wrapped up in a calming and safe warmth. Nerian. That sounds closer to right. Nerian. Anyway, it felt as if all my sins had been forgiven. All the anxiety and horror within me melted and slowly diffused in the amniotic fluid, disappearing without a trace. I let my body go with the flow as I drowned in the ever-present warmth and lost myself in ecstasy. Depressing intensifies. I'm sorry! I know so much about people mispronouncing your name, too, because it happens to me all the time IRL. And not IRL. People like to say Lemur Heaven. And I'm not kidding. Those are both often mispronunciations of my online name. So, I'm sorry. I'm awful. I let my body go with the flow as I drowned in the ever-present warmth and lost myself in ecstasy. Here it felt like I was the only absolute and all-powerful existence. Briefly reads the Sephiroth article on our Wikipedia. I might do the same. I got lost quickly? Wow. was at the center of the universe. I didn't want to think about anything else anymore. I just wanted to stay like this forever. I didn't care if it was just a dream. Even if it was just a tranquil illusion, it was one which I preferred for that horrible reality. But a dream will never be more than a dream, which one must eventually awake from. Without any warning, the moment of awakening came violently. Liberation of self. I was forcibly dragged back into reality, bursting out of the empty space. Without enough time to give even a baby's first cry, I was born into a new world. Where is this? In front of me was a square glass window. What? What happened? The open palm of my right hand was pressed tight against the glass. I lowered my palm from the window. A palm print remained clearly visible in the cloudy white surface. I wiped it with my sleeve and a familiar image appeared. Oh! We're back in our body. Okay. Me? It's me. I felt dazed. My head was cloudy. However, I could clearly understand that the image reflected in the window pane was my own. It's the same face I had for 20 years now. There's no way I could have been mistaken. Schizophrenia. I don't think you understand what schizophrenia is. Not trying to be insulting, but it's a very common misconception what schizophrenia is. So, this doesn't have any of the hallmarks of schizophrenia. As soon as I realized that, the haze in my head immediately disappeared. I looked down, checked my clothes, looked at my palms, and stared at the backs of my hands for a few moments. The fingers of both my hands traced the contours of my face, felt the texture of my skin, and ran through my hair, checking its length all the way through. It sprang up and down. There were dull pains in my neck and hip, but it wasn't all that bad compared to the pain I felt before. I stretched my arms out as wide as I can, took a series of deep breaths, and started speaking out loud. I see. So it was all a dream. Even though it was just a dream, I somehow felt really happy to be in my own body again. I cast another glance at the reflection and turned my head. Ah! People! Before me were the figures of an unfamiliar man and woman. Words I'd blurted out surprise hung in the air. Suddenly felt very awkward. He gave a slight shrug. The source of my awkwardness was the words that had come out of my mouth earlier. And stopped to think that I might not be the only person in the room. Mumbling these meaningless words, I tried fruitlessly to relieve the tension of the moment, while at the same time attempting to analyze the situation I found myself in. First of all, where am I? As I took a look around, I could see that everything, including the roof, the floor, the walls, was all made of wood. We did it! We're back! Game over. From where I stood, I could see a double bunk bed on the right and a doorway on the left. Near the wall across the room stood a wooden table, along with a few simple chairs made of chopped logs. By the wall beside me was a rustic stove made out of old oil barrels. I could hear a crackling sound, most probably produced by red-hot logs burning inside the stove. Cumulus clouds of white steam rose from the tin kettle placed upon the stove. Considering how large the double bunk bed was, the floor of the room had probably fit 12 tatami mats. Okay, so if we're going by the logic of anime, our gentleman there on the right, who looks obviously older than everybody else, must be like 25. Because he's ancient, and thus could never be the hero. Relax, it's not actual analysis, I'm making fun of anime. Considering how large the double bunk bed was, the floor of the room could probably fit 12 tatami mats. It may have actually been one tatami larger, but the window embedded in the wall was so tiny it made the room feel rather cramped. A mountain hut? I couldn't think of any other possibilities. I looked out the window to make sure. There was only the featureless depthless darkness spread out as far as the eye could see. Was there anything that could provide me with a clue? It wasn't that I couldn't see anything. Yoshkev! Good to see you. How you doing? Well, the very old schizophrenia division is just some generalized psychic disorder, but who cares? Well, obviously, the old definition isn't exactly viable. You want to play this game myself sometime soon? We're about 2 hours in, some amount into chapter 1. Actually, it might be in chapter 2. I don't know how short the chapters are, and it actually doesn't give me a... No, we're definitely in chapter 1. I forgot there was a chapter thing at the beginning. Anyway, things are happening and I'm confused. Could do it now, shoo. It's okay if he watches like the first couple hours and then decides to do it on his own. You don't have to experience 100% of the game blind, but the more of it, the better, usually. Snow. My eyes were searching the scenery for more clues, but all I could see were powdery snow dancing violently in the frozen darkness like pampas grass in the wind. Crystals of ice decorated the edges of the window. These scant clues didn't give me an idea where we were, but this is definitely no Southern Island paradise. Then it hit me. The cold. And it wasn't just your average cold. My body was freezing to the core, enough to make me want to hug the barrel stove beside me. Hey, what's wrong? The voice made me turn around. The man looked worried as he watched over me. You alright? I'm alright wasn't something I could honestly say. Played Ever 17 a long time ago. That was an awesome game. It's on the list. It would be me going backwards to it. But, I mean, I don't want to do that right away after I finish this. So, it'd be something we play eventually. But I've got it. In fact, that might be the game that somehow got installed on my computer besides Remember 11. When I had to cancel that stream because I had the wrong game. Oops. Anyway, so Ever 17 is on my computer. Being suddenly seized by this freezing cold, the two completely unfamiliar people in front of me. Just who were these people? The man in front of me wore a hooded jacket. His short trimmed hair was casually fallen into disorder. There was a sparse amount of stubble growing around his mouth and chin, and his prominent cheekbones gave him a dauntless appearance. His body was in good shape. His figure was trim. That being said, by no means was he thin. The muscles on his shoulders and chest were toned to the degree that their contours were visible through his clothes. I'm sorry, there's no way the contours are visible through those clothes. Ever 17 just like Yukari from Touhou? I know nothing about Touhou. I have a friend who wants me to play Touhou, and I watched him stream it. I'm like, I'm not doing this. It seems like a bad idea. If anyone asked me, I would have to say he had an extremely manly, strong body. And a terrible mustache. Like, seriously, dude. Shave that off. In contrast to the air of strength that his body gave off, his eyes seemed to be doing a poor job of hiding his overwhelming sadness. Touhou does have an easy mode. It's not about the difficulty necessarily, it's just about, like, I wouldn't be able to bring anything interesting to the gameplay, or the game in general. The woman was crouching in front of the stove, wrapped up in many layers of blankets like an empress in her robes. Her hands grasped a steel cup. Her eyes were not on me, but staring aimlessly at the contents of the cup. However, it didn't seem like she was avoiding eye contact intentionally. Even hardest difficulty is not that hard. Yeah, you guys say that about level 1, Soul Level 1 Dark Souls runs, don't you? Her garments were covered by the blanket, so I couldn't tell what she was wearing underneath. I could only see her dark brown high heels. The shoes weren't well suited for a place like this, and her shoes weren't all that looked out of place. The woman with her hair in an updo... In an updo? Huh. Gave off an air of calm sophistication. I've never heard it referred to that. It's always where she was wearing her hair up or something. Never heard hair in an updo. Would it be an exaggeration to say she was from high society? Surrounded by the drum stove, the tin kettle, and the assorted timber, her appearance was particularly conspicuous. The man looked like he was in his mid-30s, while the woman appeared to be in her late 20s. Of course, that was just my estimate. They could have been younger. And anyway, I thought it was clear that both of them were older than me. First off, she doesn't seem terribly responsive, and he did actively ask if we were okay, so I'm gonna go talk to the man. Try talking to the man. Excuse me. Who are you and where are we? Who are you first? Who are you? Hey, have you forgotten about me already? He folded his arms, appearing frustrated. Didn't I tell you my name just now? Just now? What did he mean? I waited for him to continue. Are you sure you're feeling okay? Always talk to the waifu? No. No, talk to the person who's actively engaging us first. What do you mean? No, how should I say this? What I'm trying to say may be a bit rude, but you... He raised one of his eyebrows, drawing an eye momentarily before continuing. You're acting kind of strange. Eh? Don't be mad, okay? A while ago you were saying all kinds of weird things. All of a sudden you start spouting nonsense, acting violently, screaming, and pausing for a long time while speaking. Now you're all gentle and everything. Well, with the shock of what happened, I wouldn't be surprised if you suffered a decent amount of mental damage, but... A shock? Yeah, from the airplane crash. Crash? Let's go for the husbando. A girl can also have a waifu. She can, but she could also have a husbando. Like, okay, playing Fire Emblem. I'm not going to spoil much about Fire Emblem Fates. Just to say that I've played through Birthright and I'm mostly through Conquest. I was super excited when there was a character that was in both games that was the character my character married in the first one. I was like, yes, husbando, I get to keep him. I was so ridiculously happy about that. I should not have been, but I was. It's like, yes, and we get to have the same children too. It was great. Anyway, did I already forget what had happened up until now? Reality and dreams were completely mixed up in my head as I tried hard to make sense of things. So that means the building and the people I saw must have been a part of a dream. Then the crash. What happened to the other passengers? Was Uni saved? Although I couldn't be sure, I felt a tinge of uneasiness. For some reason, I wasn't really all that worried. Why were you not that worried? Total done, 3%. Scenes done, 45%. We're going to go ahead and save the game, because it's been a while. And then we're going to go ahead and take a break. So get up, stretch, whatever you need to do to be able to keep watching comfortably. And I will be right back.